Let's go, folks. Time for the Gibby Show.
How you doing, baseball fans? And welcome to another edition of the Gibby Show, presented by Miller Lite, the official beer of Major League Baseball and the Gibby Show. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays are heading back home to begin their long-awaited first homestand of the season, and my podcast partner is heading up there as well this week. His bags are packed. I'm John Arezzi, and with me, someone I can now officially say is a best-selling author. The man whose book, Gibby, Tales of a Baseball Lifer, is officially out, and it's on the bestseller list up in Canada right now in nonfiction books. He's a former member of the 86 World Champion New York Mets. He's a two-time manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. He is a baseball lifer, and his bags, as I said earlier, are packed and heading up to Toronto for a very busy week. But right now he's direct from San Antonio, Texas. John Gibbons. John, how you doing?
Johnny, I'm doing good. And you're right. I am heading to the Great White North this afternoon. Looking forward to it. See a lot of good friends. So I'm excited.
Yeah, you got some cool stuff happening. First of all, congratulations on the best-selling book, my friend.
Yeah.
Does that really surprise you? Does that surprise you?
Oh, yes. Who'd have thunk it? Is that the right term? Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
You know what? I had some fun with it. I think people will enjoy it. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're a modest guy. You really are, and like they're going crazy up in Canada for the book. So, but it is you're a modest guy, and it's an amazing accomplishment. It really is, because people are really loving the book. Everything that's been out there, the reviews, fans are taking pictures with their book and putting it on social media. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of
you put it in motion, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And sometimes they call me, or a person like me, the hub, because I'm kind of a connector. I kind of put pieces together. And this was an easy one to do, because up in Toronto, when I did my book deal with ECW Press, and when I mentioned my friendship with you, there was like, we would give John a book deal in a minute. And it took a while to convince you. And then when you said, yeah, let's see what happens. And then I made the call, and it was like, get Greg Oliver involved, who's a great writer up there, 19 books, and hooked you guys up. And before you know it, here we are.
I knew we should have put crayons with that thing. We should have given crayons.
Yes, you wanted crayons to be included in the packaging of this book.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Maybe for the paperback.
There you go.
Anyway, we're here to talk about what's going on. And, of course, we have a lot going on in your schedule. Just to give everybody a little bit of an update, if they want to get together with you, meet you, get a copy of the book, there's two events that are going to be open to the public. And the first one is going to take place on Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m., or Wednesday, I'm sorry. It is at the Toronto Public Library, and go to torontopubliclibrary.ca. It's a 7 o'clock start, Q&A, book signing, and that is going to be at 789 Yonge Street, second floor, Toronto. And so you're going to be doing that. And then on Thursday, April the 13th, you will be at Costco Wholesale on Queen Elizabeth Boulevard in Toronto from 4 to 6 o'clock. And you'll be signing copies of your book there as well. So, and then you got a ton of media up there. So, are you going to go to the home opener?
No, I'm gonna be laying in bed 10 toes up, watching the game on TV.
There you go, having a Miller Lite probably.
Yeah, listening to Buck and Shulman, I assume. So, yeah. Oh, that's right, man. It tastes like Miller time.
Well, there's a lot to talk about here today. It's been an incredibly busy week for the Blue Jays. They're finally coming home. Today's show, of course, we're going to discuss that week. The hot players. I mean, what an incredible lineup that they've had, especially in those top four batting positions. We'll discuss where the Jays are as they head into this big homestand with the Tigers, and then the red-hot Tampa Bay Rays. Alek Manoah is in the news. He's getting some heat from opposing players. Vladdy Guerrero is also in the news. He wants to stay a Blue Jay for life. We'll cover these stories. Plus, we have another great Gabbing with Gibby coming up later in the show, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Our guest this week will be really cool guy, someone who's kind of a leader in so many ways. Former Blue Jay, arguably one of the best catchers ever, Russell Martin. So we'll have that on with the show later, and then we'll have another roast and toast inspired by our friends at Miller Lite. But first, let's go to the leadoff. The long road trip to open the season is now over. It seemed like it was going on forever, and the Jays finished off the first week and a half with a 6-4 record. Overall, Gibby, what are your thoughts taking a look at the team over these 10 games? A lot of the games have been slugfests, but what's your impression of the Jays as they head back to Toronto for the big opening week here?
Johnny, I think it was a good trip for them. It turned out to be, they lost, they won the opener, and then they lost a couple in St. Louis, and then they moved on to KC and Anaheim. And I think the indication of what kind of team it is the way they bounced back in Anaheim a couple of those games. They were, the opener, Bo hits that big home run, 3-runner. They're down. Almost, it's getting late to win that one, and then they lost the one in between. Then yesterday down 6-0. It reminds me a lot of our team in 2015. But I knew Anaheim was in trouble when Tepera came in, man. One of our old pitchers, Tep. I thought, oh no, Tep, man, Tep's gonna get tight against his old team. No, I'm teasing, but
that's really a good comparison. This team and the 2015 team, squad that never gave up, was fighting every game, and this team seems to, in the early part of the season, have that same type of makeup.
Yeah, they really do. You go through their offense, even the bench players. I mean, they're loaded. And they're good young hitters, and there's this group seems to have something a little bit special. They all seem to get along. They pull for each other. And that bodes well for them. Now, over the course of the season, there's some areas that they're going to have to be addressed. There's no doubt. It happens with every team. In our case, in 15, we were the best offense in the league, but we were poor defense in a couple key spots. Until that was addressed, we were 500. So things will pop up along the way, and they'll address those. But I think it's a good start.
Yeah, they got a lethal top of that lineup. When I'm looking at the leaders in Major League Baseball right now, when it's early, obviously, but when you look at leaders in hits in this first week and a half, I mean, number one, more hits than anybody else in baseball, Chapman, 19 hits. Guerrero right under him at number 2, 18 hits. Bichette, number 3. So the top 3 hit leaders in the game right now are Blue Jays. And that's pretty amazing. And when you go to average as well, I mean, Chapman leads major leagues in averages, 475. Guerrero's number 4, 439. So, I mean, that top of the lineup, those first 4 slots are incredible right now.
Oh yeah, and they're good. But it's kind of interesting. You look at the history of the Blue Jays. Other ways, you go back to their '93 season when they were they won it all. Right, they won in 92, 93.
Yeah,
I apologize if I'm wrong in that year, but
30 years
at the
ago.
top, yeah, you have Molitor, Olerud, and Alomar, top 3 hitters
right.
in the league.
Yeah,
there you go. Then you flip to then it was a lean 22 years, right? In 15, team finally came back together, but you had Batista, Donaldson, and Encarnacion, right? 3 hammers, right? And now you look at this team right here, those names you just and then you got Springer leading the way, proven veteran that makes things happen. Yep. So they're going to be a tough lineup to navigate for the rest of the teams out there. And if they get some pitching, and they hold steady there, then and with the extra wild cards, there's no way they're not going to get in,
right?
Unless something tragic.
Right. I mean, Chapman especially. Chapman, when he hit that grand slam yesterday, I mean, you thought it was going to be a losing day, and then all of a sudden, bam, grand slam. They come back. They lose the lead. They come back. And the thing about Romano, I mean, he is still the saves leader. He had 5 saves, but he did blow the save yesterday, but got the win in Sunday's game. So, but he started off pretty well as the closer.
Oh yeah, George, one of the best in the game. He's only going to get better. He's still young, and with Chappie, man, he's free agent year. The
Yeah,
timing's right for everything, right? He's always been a great player in the game, but it looks like his offense is going to the next level a little bit, maybe. I'm
right.
wondering if Don Mattingly has something to do with that. Donnie Baseball, a great hitter, with
Good
the New
point.
York Yankees, and
Good
he's just got, I don't really know him, but he's just got that presence about him, and I think the way I bet he talks about hitting a lot, and I think everybody on that team will benefit from that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Donnie Baseball being there certainly adds just an enormous amount of
Gravitas.
credibility, gravitas. I mean, what an elite player he was, and great manager as well. The only real concerns right now, I mean, one of the concerns is that bottom half of the starting rotation, uh, Kikuchi, but Barrios. I mean, he just looked like a deer in the headlights the other day.
Yeah, it's still early,
Yeah,
but people. I guess people have long memories too. They're kind of you go back to last year, and they both struggled. Kikuchi had a good spring training, had a good first outing, what have you, and then. That's gonna happen. I mean, you got to be fair to these guys too. And think, you know what, they're not. They got to be allowed to have a stinker, right? A clunker.
yeah, yeah.
But the problem is you can't have too many of them, right? And
Right.
but I didn't see Kikuchi's game, but I saw Barrios when he pitched, and you could just tell he could tell his confidence was down, right? Because the kids had a lot of success, but when the game gets you down, and it's like nobody feels worse than him. He's under the microscope. That's professional sports. I just see he just makes too many mistakes. He'll make some good pitches. It's almost like maybe he just needs to back down a little bit. Sometimes you lose a little something as you get a little bit older, or you try harder. Effort in baseball can be a bad thing. Too much effort, in the skill parts of the game. Maybe back off and hone in on that command a little bit, because he can do it. But then he'll hang a pitch, or he'll stripe one down the middle, and they don't seem to miss it. So, but you feel for him because he's out there busting his butt. And nobody wants to do better than him.
That's
But it
true.
is as Josh Donaldson would say, it's a results game.
It is. It is a results game, and one guy that's been making the news, even a guy that's been pretty emotional, who wears his heart on his sleeve a lot. Jays pitcher Alek Manoah, and he doesn't seem to have the biggest fan in Boston Red Sox outfielder Alex Verdugo. I mean, there was a story this week that broke that Verdugo was accusing Manoah of going on the field, the celebrations in the wrong way, being a little disrespectful, like shouting guys down after they strike out and tell them to go sit back in the dugout. He's an emotional guy, but I mean, what's your take on that, especially when players from opposing teams are now saying he's not professional or he's disrespecting us with his comments? What's your take on something like that, especially because Alek, he's got what you say, that Buffalo mentality, and
Oh
he's a
yeah.
bully, goes out there and he's very passionate about what he's doing. So what's your take on this story?
Johnny, to be fair, I'd have to been around it and could see everything that's going on day in, day out and hear that. But I will tell you this, you know what? That's part of who he is. Bench jockeying has gone on forever, right? In the game. Maybe not so much anymore, but guys will rag other guys on teams and things like that. And it used to be ruthless, right? Um, uh, but all it really is going to come down to, Alex. That's what he does, and he's just going to have to back it up. I think what will happen as a manager, what you have to look for, okay, if start getting carried away with things and it's detrimental to you and your team, that's when those guys, Rich Snyder, would step in. But I have a hard time believing that Alec would go overboard you know in you got to remember there's stuff coming from the other side too.
Oh, of
He
course.
had that deal with Cole and all that. So
Yep.
I
It's
dismiss it.
an emotional game, and when you're in there and you're in the heat of battle, things sometimes get a little emotional. Your emotions are there, but you want passionate players. You don't want somebody just like kind of like just pitch and call it in. Here's a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's a winner.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. So you see how everything develops, but if he goes over the line, they'll reel him back in a little bit, but
Yeah.
you never want to take away somebody's personality as far as what makes them successful. Sometimes you need to pin their ear back a little bit, but I'd have a hard time believing Alek needs that.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy who plays first base for the Jays who had a sit-down interview this week with Sportsnet's Hazel May. He spoke his heart. It was a very heartfelt interview. And the thing that came out of that that's really making news, and this is not the first time he said it, but he was really direct here. He expressed his desire, Vladdy expressed his desire to remain in Toronto for his entire career. And his quote was, "I want to spend all of my life here in Toronto. This is what it is. I'm here to play ball. I know who I am, and the time is going to come." He wants to stay. What's your take on this? Should he be extended? It ain't going to be cheap, but he wants to be here for life. What's your take?
Well, I can't blame him, and we know he doesn't want to play in New York either. Did he come out last year or something?
He didn't want to come to New York. That's true.
No, exactly. But you know what? He's a generational player, right?
He is.
And he's, he could end up in the Hall of Fame like his father, and if he keeps his pace up. Yeah. They have no choice but to sign him, and they have the money for it. Where you run into trouble, you start. I mean, there's a few guys on there that you got to pay that you want long term because they're that good, right?
Well, you got Chapman. You got Chapman, right? And you got Bone a couple of years, right? I mean, so but like teams like the Braves are doing it. They're locking up these guys. With Vladdy, he may be a little bit more higher price because he'll be north of $300 million to lock him in, I think.
Yeah, but it's worth it to him. He's such a special player, and they got the money. All those owners out there got the money. They may tell you differently, but they yeah.
There's a lot of money in the game right now.
But you want to talk about a PR nightmare, disaster. If especially when he comes out and says that he wants to stay forever, he kind of ratcheted it up a little bit, but he deserves that, because he's going to be one of the best top 2 or 3 players in the game for a number of years.
Yeah, and his free agency will be after.
I'd like to be his agent.
There you go, John.
Well,
you're heading up there. Agent. I mean, you're going up there. Why don't you have a little meeting and see what can be done?
Oh, exactly.
I mean, if you're a best-selling author and everything, and the legacy you have in Toronto and how revered you are, I think Vladdy would take your suggestions and advice, and you'd be a well served to represent him at this time.
Hey, everybody in the world would want to be his agent, wouldn't it? Talk about easy money, for crying out, easy money.
Exactly. Those are the big stories as the Jays head up, and it's going to be a great week, and it's going to be a big series against Tampa Bay. What an amazing run that they've had to open this season. It's crazy.
Well, you know what? They're good. There's no doubt about it. You keep hearing out there, the schedule. There's no doubt the schedule was in their favor. But, they're still playing major league teams, and on any given day, somebody, bottom feeder could get a great well-pitched effort, and they'll beat you because, they're major league players still, right? So, yeah, you could even say the Blue Jays had the schedule in their favor. Kansas City, St. Louis, Kansas City, Anaheim coming off their track record, and then open up with Detroit. That's that's the beauty of baseball, but everybody in the end has to play the top teams and things. So it all evens out, but it never hurts to get off to a great start, but that's not going to last. There's too many good teams in that league.
That's true. Well, you're listening to the Gibby Show presented by Miller Lite and John over the weekend. I mean, what a busy baseball weekend it was, and enjoyed some Miller Lights, the authentic.
Some, did you say some?
Did you say some? You had more than one Miller Lite this weekend.
It always tastes like Miller time. Always tastes like Miller time.
It does, and it's the flavor you want, less of the stuff you don't want, and it's authentic. I mean, the legacy, the authenticity of Miller Lite, it does.
Shoot them straight, baby. Shoot them straight.
Exactly.
Oh, exactly. It's a great beer.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
And now it's time for Gabbing with Gibby with special guest Russell Martin, brought to you by Tim Hortons. For baseball fans on the go, Tim Hortons has a snack for that. New savory pastries are available in herb and garlic and jalapeno flavors, baked fresh throughout the day and now served warm.
Oh, I love it, man. I told you I've already had the jalapeno version. And I'll be on the move up there, so I'll have my share of the snackables on the run. You can bet on that.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be hitting Tim's every day while you're up.
Every morning, probably every afternoon.
And this week's Gabbing with Gibby, we got another good one that John has lined up. He is a native of East York, Ontario, one of the elite catchers in the history of Major League Baseball, a mainstay with the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, Pittsburgh Pirates, played for the Blue Jays from 2015 through 18. We'd love to welcome right here today Russell Martin to this week's Gabbing with Gibby. Russell, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks for the intro. I'm getting a little red. I'm getting a little red now.
Well, there you go. And you're with a gentleman that you worked with and was on the same team with through some really glory years for the Blue Jays, Mr. John Gibbons, and you guys can reacquaint yourselves with each other after so much time.
Hey, Russell, I don't think he built you up enough with that introduction. You kidding me?
There were so many accolades. I didn't know where to start.
All I got to tell you is this, people listening out there, Russell was our backbone. He was the leader of our team. We had some prime players, right? Donaldson, Batista, Encarnacion. We were really loaded with superstars. But Russell was the kind of the go-to guy, the backbone. He kind of kept himself, but he put out some fires. He would I don't know how many guys I would ask. I never told him. I said, "Who's the guy out there?" I'd ask the lesser players because Batista would have said, "Oh, it was me," or Donaldson would say, "Yeah, it was me." I said, "Who's the guy on that clubhouse, man? Who's the main man?" And they all said Russell. And I knew that, but he made a huge difference in my career. So Russ, that was you. You kind of located, you did your thing, but you were the leader.
I appreciate that. I mean, as a catcher, it's kind of, you're a leader by default. You got to take care of your pitchers. And I guess there's good catchers. There's catchers who really, don't really. Some are a little bit more selfish and they just care about maybe their offense and things like that. But I kind of learned early that, one of my best offensive seasons in 2007 with the Dodgers, our team did horrible. And I got called out the next year in spring training. And one of the coaches was like, the only thing you care about is your hitting and your offense. And I really took it to heart because it's totally not true. The one thing I care about is winning, right? And whether you have a good day or a bad day, and that's the cool thing about playing a team sport. When you win, you feel good in the clubhouse. You're playing music, guys are in a good mood. So it was, and that was the thing for me is I kept guys in line because I just wanted them to stay focused on the task at hand, and that's to get W's. And if you do that, and if you get everybody, on the same page, and everybody wants to win, and all the other stuff kind of just gets in the way sometimes. You think about, your statistics or how you're playing or whatever. All that stuff is irrelevant because you should just be focusing on winning. And when you do that, it kind of just frees you up and it gives you a good team vibe.
Russ, that's so true. You played 14 years in the big leagues, right? I don't want to shortchange. It was 14?
Yeah,
I'm going to let you be humble, but I said, do you know how many years you went to the postseason? As the catch, the catcher is the main cog on the team. I don't care what anybody says because it's understood. If you don't pitch, you got zero chance to get to the postseason, and the catcher's leading those guys. But 10 years, you went to the postseason 10 years out of 14 years. If that doesn't define a winner, I don't know what it is. It just it sums up what you just said.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the goal, right? I mean the goal is to get to the postseason. Then I've been to the postseason 10 times, but I've never been to a World Series. So, that's the one thing that I miss. But, it's a grind, 162 games, and just getting a chance to get to the postseason, every time you feel grateful for it. But you're right. I mean, as a catcher, you're every pitch you're playing a part of it, and it's sometimes it's just normally all teams have good pitching. It's just getting the guys to understand themselves, knowing their strengths, and then as a catcher, it's figuring out what's working that day and being able to like adjust on the fly, because it's a game of adjustments, right? It's like you can have a plan, and then something happens where like, well, shoot, man, this guy doesn't have his slider today, or he doesn't have his changeup, or the fastball command isn't great, and it's like instead of forcing the issue, you gotta be able to adjust, and I feel like I did that really well, and I work well with my pitchers, and throughout the season it makes an impact, and plus I put a lot of pride early on, because I transitioned into catching after my first year of pro ball, and one of the main things was the receiving the pitches. Getting a strike call here and there can really change a game, and throughout my career I feel like that really helped out the pitchers in the team.
Oh, there's no doubt. Hey, let me tell you, the big thing in baseball. Hey, what do you notice? Everybody catches on one knee now. Do you notice that? A lot of catching on one knee. Russ, I don't think I've seen anybody that's not, even with guys on third base, and it's like, everybody just. But my point is that, you know what? I had never seen anybody do this when you're behind the plate, right? You get down on your knees sometimes, nobody on base, whatever. But you had the flexibility and mobility, but you'd take your glove would lower when that guy's about to release ball. I've never seen anybody catch a low ball so naturally like this, right? Most guys would catch it up here and take it out of the zone. You had that, and it's like you kind of almost, you almost set the precedent for that, because everybody look and go, damn, that ain't a strike. But you had that, that's a gift, because a lot of guys can't do that. A lot of guys are just worried about catching the damn thing.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's just practice, and it's something I was taught, early on is if the pitch is low, you need to be below the ball and bring it back up towards the zone. So I'm just trying to funnel pitches back towards the zone, and the way to explain it is there are pitches that are working their way back into the zone that you're trying to work with, and then there's, like, let's say, like a slider from a righty that's working its way out of the zone. Well, that's one that you kind of want to go get out in front and kind of stick and keep it from leaving the zone. And that's all I tried to do. If a pitch is working its way back in the zone, I'd funnel it back in towards the zone. And if it's working its way out of the zone, I tried to be either, just, I guess it's just funneling it back towards the zone. And I worked on it. And I guess through a lot of practice and feel, you get better at it. But I look at guys catch now, and there's a lot of good receivers out there now. I don't know if it's because teams are just looking for it, or they're putting emphasis on it or whatnot. But there's a lot of good receivers out there, and when you got a good receiver behind the plate, it makes a huge impact on pitchers. You just look at their numbers; they can get better. If a guy goes to a team who previously, the guy didn't have a really good receiver or whatnot, and then he goes to a team where the guy can catch his butt off, it's, it can, you can have some better numbers there for a pitcher for sure.
Well, you can make their career, but hey. Nobody's done it better, man. I've seen a lot of good catchers. So
I appreciate you, Gibby.
Dude, you're kind of you're the poster boy, man, for crying out loud.
Yeah, Russell, what I want to talk to you about, really, it's a different era, pitch clock, which is something you didn't experience during your storied career. How would a Russell Martin adapt to what's going on in the game today as a catcher with the pitch clock, but of course with the pitch com? It's a whole different way of playing the game.
Yeah, I honestly don't even know exactly how the pitch com works. I think you press a button and the pitcher either wants to throw that pitch or maybe I think he has I don't know how it works.
But it's not the game. It's not the game. I was watching the other day. Chris Bassett, obviously very methodical pitcher, with a wide selection of different pitches. He had problem his first two starts, and finally the other day he was just kind of like, I'm just going to let the catcher call it, because he was having so many problems in the beginning of that game. And then he settled down and pitched really well. So, that was just kind of my question to you is like, this game has
Yeah.
changed so
So
much with this new element.
so I know, like, I think Bassett was the one calling his own game at first, right? He was the one on the mound calling his own game. I
Yes, and he couldn't do it.
there's some pitchers that are good at that, and that can do it. And I'm not saying he can or can't, but what happens is you can get compromised on the mound. Let's say you have you're getting a cheap hit here and there, and you're getting frustrated, and like your mind, and then you have to call your own game. And sometimes you get compromised where it's like the brain is not really thinking the right things, or you're not in a good headspace, and that's why I feel like the catcher is the best viable option to call the game, because he's not the one on the mound. If the guy's getting shelled here and there, is like the catcher still can kind of keep his composure because he's not the one throwing the pitches, right? So he's just kind of trying to be like the conductor and trying to just manage that game that way. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know Bassett personally. But if he's got a ton of pitches, and I can see how it can be complicated when you throw in the added stress of like, I need to throw this next pitch, and I got 10 seconds to get ready to get set on the mound or whatever. That's crazy. Like I'm worried about when we get into August and September and these games are super meaningful. And then you see on deck, you got to match up. And then, like as a catcher, you're trying to think like, okay, what's the best pitch here in this situation? Like, this is our season's on the line, and I got 10 seconds, and like, and if I don't make the decision in time, then it's going to be a ball or whatever. Like, that's really not what baseball is about. I like the fact that the pace is it's a better pace for the fan. It's fun until you make a wrong decision and then you regret it for the rest of your life. Well, it's because of the added pressure that's from the pitch clock or whatnot. So I think we can adjust, and there's a reason for it, because there's a lot of sometimes wasted time in the game. But as we get in September, we get late in the season, I'm really going to be interested to see how the pitch clock's going to affect guys.
Oh, no doubt, man. You know what? It's especially, like you said, late in the game. The game's on the line, man. We go in the WBC, the final game, Japan against the U.S., the final at bat, right? Trout and Ohtani. It was almost like 30 seconds between each pitch. And nobody had a problem with that, because this is what, like, the greatest bat in history or something, And it played out the way, and see, I think they're trying to drive up the younger crowd to enjoy the game. They like the faster paced stuff. But nobody has a problem when the game's exciting. But how baseball can be a slow moving game when things aren't, and I think people get bored with that. But I agree with you. I think we're tinkering too much. The game can be, we got to leave it natural as we can, right? And but I get.
Yeah, I think it's tough. It's tough. I mean, they want to keep people interested in the game, and the new generation is definitely, the attention span is definitely not as long as it used to be, I feel like. So, but
and you know what? Then they like to shorten the bases, right? There's, I don't know, the base paths are a little shorter now. Okay, so we're trying to help out the fans enjoy. We're going to help the runner out when we're trying to hurt the catcher, or what? I mean, what are we trying to do here? I mean, it's like. Hey, speaking of that, because there was a play that happened over the weekend, the Pirates and the White Sox, right? A slide at home plate. I don't know if you saw the play. I saw the tail end of it, but when they made the adjustment in the game, the Buster Posey rule, they called it. And my feeling was they tried to do that because injury wise, right? But I don't think that many guys were getting hurt, were they? Am I missing something in the history? Occasionally, but it's not like it was a common thing. Guys got hurt, was it?
Yeah, I'd like to look at those numbers to see how many guys got hurt at the plate in recent years. I think it's something that you learned how to do. The only reason Posey got hurt is just like it was kind of like a short hop, and he kind of bobbled the ball, and he was really in a bad position. Like, normally you would never want to leave yourself in the position that he was in when he got hurt. I understand it. They're trying to, like, Buster Posey was a franchise, right? So like you risk one of those guys getting hurt, and that's not kind of what you want. And it's kind of the same way as how they're protecting the quarterback, right? And that's kind of creating issues too. You know what I mean? Like you don't know exactly like what you're supposed to do, and then you get in an awkward position, and that's how you get hurt. You know, when you're kind of like uncertain. So and that's like that's what happens with guys that plays at the plate sometimes now. They're like, can I hit him? Do I not hit him? Am I sliding? And then they get caught in between. And the next thing you know, one of your best players gets hurt, which, injuries do happen, but it's I'm definitely biased because I love the plays at the plate. I thought there was probably one of the most exciting plays in the game.
It is.
And it's like the timing and if you feel like the guy's gonna run you over, you get out the way, right? Like you're not just gonna stay there and let the guy just steamroll you over there. But some of the best plays I've ever had were those bang bang plays at the plate, and the guy's got to make a decision, like he's trying to score a run, and it's just that the one thing that can happen is when the ball's in the right field and you kind of lose sight of the runner, and if it's bang bang or the runner gets there just a fraction before you get the ball, that's when you can just get clobbered, and it doesn't happen very often. But it can, and I remember getting clobbered once, and I'm just glad the guy wasn't 250 pounds. But,
hey,
I might not be able to speak,
Hey, what's wrong with going up to your catcher and saying, like, whoever your manager, and say, hey, listen, I don't want you blocking the play. Hey, Buster, you stay out of the play, right? And if the guy scores, you score. Now you got that backup on the team, right? That the only reason he's in the big league because he's such a fundamentally good catcher, and that's part of his game. Hey, now you block the play, so it could be team to team, but we're talking about the pitch clock and stuff. Say you get to the 7th game of the World Series, right? And you get, the winning one scores, and you got to send it to New York and say, well, did the catcher give him room to slide? Really? Instead of whether you actually tag him before he hit the play. No, the judgment called some of these umpires, yeah, did he give him enough room to slide? Really, that's going to be the decision to win the World Series. Probably won't have, but you never know.
You never know. Yeah, you would hate for the World Series to be decided on a technicality of like a certain rule that they just changed or whatnot, or the guy's out of the box and he's taking a deep breath because it's the World Series, and then he's getting called strike 3 because he wasn't back in the box in 8 seconds or whatever
Exactly.
it is. What a way to end the World Series! Fuck, great.
Exactly.
All the fans would be excited.
Hey, the commission would be happy. But anyway, hey, what do you watch the team much? You seen the team play much? I know it's just started, but any thoughts on the Blue Jays this year?
I haven't been watching that much. I know that it seems like offensively they've been doing pretty good. But I haven't really. I watched a couple games in St. Louis, and but since then I've been traveling a lot. So, what do you guys got? What do you guys got on the Blue Jays? Tell me a little bit about them.
This year for me, I've really become like a diehard Jays fan. A dynamic team, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, and they don't give up. That's one thing that I've noticed about the Jays is they don't give up, even when they fall behind. They're coming back. So I've been really impressed with the team, and I think it's going to be a great season for the Blue Jays fans this year.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, they can slug it out.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of back. Kind of reminds me of 15 and 16. We get down to 5, 6, 7 runs, and it didn't matter.
It was nothing.
We're just one big inning away from being right back in it.
Hey, but you remember one thing: in 15, you can have a great offense, but if you don't pitch, it's going to catch you. Or if you don't play
defense, you need pitching and defense.
Yes. Well, if you look back, remember in 2015, right? We were pounding the ball, and our pitching was solid. Our defense was bad, and Jose, God bless him, Jose had lost his range at shortstop, right? Balls are trickling through there, right? And then we were playing Valencia and Colabello in left field, 2 first basemen that were because and so when then the trade deadline came, we brought Tulowitzki in, and Tulo when he cleaned up that infield mess, And nothing against Reyes, but he lost his range. He got older, man. That's what happened. Tulo cleaned that up, right? And then Ben Revere in left field. Now Ben's taking away hits instead of balls. It should be. So it just shows you you can outslug, but that defense wins championship. Am I right?
100%, 100%. There's time doesn't run out in baseball. You need to get 27 outs, right? And every time you seem like you give like a free base or something, that's when the other team just like they start salivating and it just like snowballs, right? But when you're taking hits away and you're making plays, it's even the other way. It kind of just like, you know, just keeps the opponents from getting any momentum whatsoever. You know what I mean? And it's I don't know, I'm a big believer that, you know, pitching and defense is definitely the way. And if offense definitely doesn't hurt, you know, it definitely gives you some wiggle room here, but it's over time and over a season, pitching and defense is premium, I feel like.
Oh, there's no doubt in every sport, man. If you don't play defense, you know, but anyway,
Yep.
So all right. So what's in the future, man? You know what? People ask me all the time, you know, since I was fortunate to get a chance to manage, who's going to man, you know, if you hit on your teams, who's the next manager waiting? I said, oh, I don't even hesitate. Donaldson would think it would be him, but no, it wouldn't be Donaldson. It would be you. And I said, whenever Russell's ready, right? You know, and I saw you were on the coaching staff at the WBC Team Canada, right?
I was.
How was that?
It was fun. It was good. It was a good time. You know, just being around the game. I had kind of been away from the game for a little while, just being at home. I got 3 daughters now, so 4, 3, and 8 months. So
dang,
that's
hey, you finally figured it out,
huh? trying to figure out. Yeah, I probably would be better at managing a baseball team than managing my daughters, but you know what I mean? No, it's great, man. The family life is awesome. That's basically what I've been doing, spending time with the girls. And I've always thought that, you know, when the kids get a little older, so in a couple years when all the girls start school and stuff, maybe, you know, I get back into it. Because you know, being in the WBC just kind of gave me that kind of like that itch back, you know, that I hadn't had it in a while. Because when I was done playing, the transition thing was kind of easy. I didn't want to play with nobody in the stands, and it just seemed like, you know, baseball kind of had lost its excitement for me because it just didn't seem like it was fun. So the transition from being a player to a non-player was really easy, and COVID was kind of like the reason for that. But after being in WBC and being around the game and just, you know, having the fans there and everybody excited, I was like, damn, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to be back in the locker room. So I don't know what the future holds, but maybe one day, you know, I kind of progressively, you know, get back into it and maybe I can be like a special guest every once in a while and you know, with the Blue Jays or whoever it may be, you know, but I'd like to just, you know, stay in touch with the guys and stay in touch with the game. The game's changing so much. I feel like if you get away from it too long, you end up being like a dinosaur kind of thing.
No, you're right. Well, there's four teams out there, you know, the Dodgers, Yankees, Pirates, and the Blue Jays, you know, four teams you play for, right? 4 of the best franchise in history. You go back, right? And they'd all be smart if they bring you in the spring training, things like that, keep you stimulated, keep you around there, because, you know, baseball's been your life. You've given a lot to the game. People need to focus on, hey, nobody's won more than you have, man. You get to the promised land where you're supposed to be. Then you give yourself a shot, whether you won one or not. You know, you give the team a shot, and you've anchored all the teams you play for. So, but it's been a pleasure, pal. We appreciate you coming on here, man. Enjoy that retirement, but, you know, there'll come a day you'll get back on the field, and I just hope you leave me tickets, man. You can leave me tickets. I'll be your bench coach. I'll be your bench coach.
I'd love to have you as a bench coach for sure. Gibby, guys, hey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And anytime you guys need tickets for anything, you let me know. You know, and Gibby, you're the man, dude. I loved you as a manager. You're my favorite, you know, by far, man. Just how you carried yourself, how you were so consistent every single day. You know, you say I was the backbone, but like you were definitely you were the actual glue. You know what I mean? You kind of like kept everybody in line because there was a lot of characters on that team, and you were able to kind of like, I don't know how you did it, but you kept everybody sane through the whole year in that clubhouse, which is crazy.
Hey, Russ, it's you guys in the show. Sometimes you just got to turn your back, man. You know, hey, let the boys go do your thing, man. Get out of the way. Because you know what makes a good manager? Great players, man. Great players.
I hear you.
And we had them, man. But we appreciate it, pal. Hey, go hit them straight today, man.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
All right, Russ. Thanks, pal.
John, you did it again. Another great gabbing with Gibby, man.
Hey, Russ is the best, you know, and it's fun to look back at guys that retired that I was fortunate to have a chance to manage. And, you know, he's got 3 girls now. He's taking up golf. You know, hopefully he may not have the desire a few years from now, but if he ever does to manage, I think he'd be one of the top in the game, you know, and he's just got that knack. So I look forward to it, you know, someday to see what happens, but I'm glad his life's going so well. He deserves that.
Yeah, a lot of mutual respect. You could just tell there was a great chemistry between the both of you. I really enjoyed that. Now inspired by our friends at Miller Lite, let's get Gibby's roast and toast for the week. Gibby, what's your roast for the week?
Ooh, God, plays at home plate. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't. It just came to mind. It had absolutely nothing to do with, you know, the slide with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their young phenom shortstop, Cruz. It is, right?
Yeah,
and it's
fractured ankle.
Yeah, it's you know, those things happen. I couldn't even tell you if it didn't have anything to do with the rule or anything, but it just kind of brings to mind. I don't like that rule. You know, there's and even Russell tell you. You know, he that was the funnest part of the game because it's about scoring and all that. And, you know, you guys aren't necessarily always sure where they're at, where they're supposed to stand, the catchers to take this. It used to be, too, the base runners would slide wide, you know, because they knew the catcher was going to be there. Now they come a little bit more head on. And nowadays they slide head first, which used to be a no-no.
Right.
Guys can get hurt very easily more so that way. And, you know, but now with this, you know, they don't have to do it. So it's kind of like, I think all the rule changes are getting to me. So this, and I being a
There's
catcher,
a lot of them.
Yeah, I just miss that play, and I think there's been too many close ones, you know, in the last couple of years that can affect an outcome of a game. So, but we hope Cruz is he'll heal up because he's a special player. You never want to see that happen, and then the bench is empty. You never want to see that happen.
No.
But, you know, it is part of it.
Yeah, it is. But we got to go to your toast for the week. Who are you toasting this week on the Gibby Show?
Oh, it's got to be the Tampa Bay Rays. My old player, too, Kevin Cash, man. You know what? And the word out there is, you know what? They're scheduled. No doubt. That's part of it. You know, that's drawing the card, right? The lucky card there. But it all evens out because you play each other. And you know, and they're in too good a division to completely run away with it. You know, there's no doubt. But they do have the players. They got the pitching staff. You know, they got their offense is clicking if they stay healthy. They play defense. They do everything really well. And you know, they come to Toronto soon. Like you said, at the end of the week, that'll be some games series to watch. But you know, it's just. Baseball's funny, you know. It's a momentum game too. You know, you start feeling good, you get off to that kind of start. You know, it's just like who was the Baltimore Orioles? Didn't they lose like 21 straight?
Yes.
To start one season, so that they weren't very. It's just the opposite. They weren't very good, and I think it cost Frank Robinson his job, or somebody else got fired. Frank maybe took over or something, whatever. But you know, just things just start snowballing in a bad way, and then it can be in a good way. And
in a good way, yeah.
And just like the Blue Jays. Now, you know, they keep all those comeback wins. They had a couple of them on maybe 2 or 3 of them on the road. Those things start to snowball in your way, and you start believing things like that too. So, but I tip my hat to Kevin Cash down there. He's done a tremendous job, and the Tampa Bay Rays organization they got a secret formula. I don't think they're sharing it with everybody, but they got it.
No. Well, that's, you know, the roast and toast for this week. Of course, inspired by our friends over at Miller Lite.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
And John, before we wrap up this edition of the Gibby Show, I know that you're involved in a special project fundraiser for the Special Olympics. There is a beautiful photograph that your wife, Christy, shot of a blue jay that was in your backyard. That'll be signed by you and Christy. There'll be a meet and greet for the winning bidder with you, autographed copies of the book, tickets to a Blue Jays game in the future. So that's really a special. That's a special prize. Special prizes for the winning bidder, and it's a special organization that I'm sure that you love.
Yeah, you know what? Well, it's a beautiful picture, almost as beautiful as the person who took it, my wife. But it is a great cause. Special Olympics Canada, and when Mark, our producer, asked me, to be a part of that. Those are things you'd love to do, and anytime you can help anybody, and so
no
go out there and bid on it.
No brainer. If you want to make a bid on that picture, and then you get, if you're the winning bidder, I think opening bids start at about $700, which is
dang.
Well, listen, look at the package. You're getting a meet and greet with Gibby himself. I mean, that's got to be worth, that there's no price tag on that.
No, I know. I'm saying that's pretty impressive. Yeah.
It's pretty good for $700 opening bid. Yeah. If you're interested, you go to www.givegy. That's www.givegy.ca/SOC auction. Place your bids, and you might be meeting Gibby in the near future.
That's the downfall of winning that thing. But hey, that's a complicated website, man. I hope everybody's paying attention. We might have to put that up on the board so they can
search
read it.
Special Olympics auction, but it is we'll have Chris put that up so people can take a look at it if they're watching this on the YouTube version of the podcast. But special auction and great cause. So, John, that's going to wrap it up. I know you're heading up to Toronto, so you have a safe trip, have a successful trip, enjoy yourself up there. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be happy to see you and meet you up in Toronto this week.
Well, I can't wait. It's been a while, and I love that place. So.
And that's about wrap it up for this week's The Gibby Show. I want everybody out there to have a great week. We'll talk more baseball with you right here next week on The Gibby Show. Go Blue Jays.
Ooh.